kind of short and simple on this one. So, um, we suffer from a problem that until the space has opened up in a major way on certain platforms by getting through cohesively with your point, um, things are going to look a certain way whether you like it or not. We have to level up who we are, and how we convey ourselves, right? Because these people are not going to like esoteric and occulted conspiracy theories against Israel, all right? Because of Zionist this and X, Y, and Z, right? They're not going to like it, and it's a failure on your part to think that you can force someone into the conveyance of kind of like seeing the stack of history that you're arguing from with merit. And maybe that is a certain question of a moral flaw within you, is to say that the manner in which we engage our peers in argument will accomplish something in this approach. Because I think a lot of people are not having an actual conversation about geopolitics when it comes to Israel for real, and there have only been for these many years having a conversation of, do you agree with me or not? Do you see things my way or not? Instead of looking at it more face on, more head on, right? And this is a very masculine conversation, you'll notice, right? You don't get this kind of talking about the Jews in such a manner, talking about Israel in such a manner, as much from women, unless they are women that are uh, uh, engaged with those events more particularly. And then we have times where that comes in and out for all women, because I'm making this generality as as looking at a long period of time. I'm talking about, I'm talking about, to be fair, maybe the last 20 years of what these concepts are, because it's just, you get a weird, I mean, they tell you your whole life what Israel is as a country, and they tell you your whole life what Palestine is as a place. And it's self-evident, this conflicting deal, and if you are not like a hardcore fucking Zionist church in America, these decades since the establishment and explanation for it in our history and media, that you're never going to have a productive conversation, right? We don't know what a thing is, and we don't quite understand how it got that way. Because we didn't know a tremendous amount of the ins and outs of what was going on in the Ottoman Empire, for instance. And then, we had the Ottoman Empire carved up after World War One. And it was from there that this situation began to arise, because it was after the breakup of the Ottoman Empire. This is when the Zionists changed their global plan. They had accomplished one phase of their plan, and then they were moving into a next phase of their plan. This isn't some sort of deduction. This is in their open letters and things like that, right? This is more taboo now because of the context of what used to be out. This used to be like out in the open conversation and stuff, right? You know, this was, it was like before World War II. Like, you were kind of happy to be a fucking Zionist. You know, even if you weren't a Christian, I suppose. It's just like you were a bit more favorable on the Jewish thing. People were starting to see the developmental trends in the Middle East, and seeing, and seeing that their civilization was going to start going a different way. And morphing into the more barbaric place that it is now, right? Because there was a different order to the world in the Middle East during the Ottoman Empire, which made all of these kinds of problems completely unheard of, right? And we don't talk about the Ottoman Empire very much, do we? People talk about Tartaria all day. We need to talk about the Ottoman Empire, because Tartaria was the Mongolian Empire, which I don't believe has as empty a history as the Mongolian history books for English consumption say that it is on the internet. But there was a collapse of this imperial world, and the imperial world is now given way to all of these other ideas. Doesn't that make sense? Because the downfall of imperialism is also, it's the downfall of the monarchy, which is also a downfall of direct family moral values as the reflection of state, and and those who think about what we may have lost that was good about our national identities with the loss of that system, and the manner in which we kept a leader, all in the idea of the people, right? And this is largely because when they completely supplanted your local king for your king that kind of connived his way in through like marriage stuff, right? When this kingship thing got way more business like. Which may or may not have been a good thing because of the way the world was changing, right? There are ups and downs to every civilization, but I ain't never seen nothing where the whole world experienced the exact same fucking down in 1 year. 2020, right? 2020, the whole world played this thing. And I said to myself, okay, so there's a scientific, medical, global system. So I didn't know that the world's medical system was that internetworked like that. You know? Um, so we're just not seeing the connective tissue that made all these things work, because we're talking about a time where you had the British Empire, the Ottoman Empire, the Mongolian Empire, all existing at the same time. And the British Empire kind of being part of a confederacy of many Christian empires because of the pseudo wars between Catholics and Protestants. And I think the Protestants had always been the more Zionistic types, and it's very interesting, right? What I do know is that when something happens, like Trump says something, you know, when it's definitely like the first time he's really said it, he gives you time to prepare. He doesn't just say it and then cut your throat, unless you're the bad guy. Like you wake up one day and some terrorist has been airstruck, right? You know, things like that are one thing. Otherwise, look at statements I made day one of presidency, and then, then you're 3 months later, and feels like he just said it yesterday, especially considering that all these other things happened, and then, you hear about something, right? Like, Greenland is still a thing. This let's get Greenland thing is still it's still a proposal, meaning that it's been given the time to cook. It's been given time to cook as a proposal, and it wants to persist because it's now being played down. That it's less as crazy of an idea as one would think. And if this puts Greenland, if Greenland's on the market and nobody else is offering, because Canada could buy Greenland, if Greenland's going to say yes, then guess what? Other countries, what if Russia, Canada, which means Great Britain, it wouldn't be Canada, it would be Great Britain on behalf of the Commonwealth, but basically to function with Canada, Russia, the United States, what if all these northern powers just fucking, just start arguing about Greenland? Right? Now we got to deal with Greenland and we got to deal with Israel. And we don't got enough esoteric juice on Greenland to have these fucking uncomfortable conversations about humanity. And there's not a lot of humanity on Greenland on top of that, which makes it even funnier. Anyway. Alright, I think this has been a good one. I'll catch you later.